The rain fell relentlessly, turning the small town of Oakhaven into a world of gray shadows and slick, glistening streets. People hurried from their cars to their homes, heads ducked under umbrellas, oblivious to the world around them. But one creature didn't seek shelter. A small, ginger cat, no bigger than a loaf of bread, sat hunched by a storm drain at the edge of Miller's Lane. Its fur was matted and dark with rain, its body trembling, not just from the cold, but from something deeper, a desperate resolve. For 2 days it hadn't moved. The storm had come and gone and come again, and still the cat remained. It didn't meow for food or attention. It just stared with an unnerving intensity at the cold iron grate of the drain. The townsfolk noticed, of course. Some found it odd, others dismissed it. Just a stray, they'd mutter, pulling their collars tighter and walking on. They saw a cat, but they didn't see the silent scream in its posture. But Sarah, a young woman who lived at the end of the lane, couldn't get the image out of her head. She had tried to offer it food, which it ignored. She had tried to coax it away with soft words, but the cat wouldn't budge. Its green eyes would meet hers for a brief second, and in them she saw not just fear, but a frantic, desperate plea. It was a look that said, "Don't you see? Don't you understand?" On the third day, the rain was heavier than ever. The gutters were overflowing, and the sound of rushing water beneath the street was a low, ominous roar. That's when Sarah heard it. Over the drumming of the rain, a different sound. A tiny, high-pitched mewling. It was so faint, she almost thought she'd imagined it. She moved closer to the drain, and the ginger cat looked up at her, letting out a single, heart-wrenching cry. It wasn't a meow of hunger. It was a cry for help. Something clicked in Sarah's mind. The cat wasn't guarding the drain. It was guarding what was in the drain. Panic seized her. She ran back to her house, her heart pounding, and called the town's emergency services. She explained the situation, her voice trembling. At first, they were skeptical. A cat by a drain? But Sarah was insistent, her words painted with the urgency she felt. "It's not just a cat," she pleaded. "It's a mother." Within 20 minutes, a rescue truck arrived. 2 firefighters clad in heavy rain gear looked from Sarah to the small, shivering cat. The cat, seeing the large men, didn't run. It stood its ground, a tiny, defiant guardian. One of the firefighters, a man named Dave, knelt down. He listened, and then his eyes widened. He had heard it too, the faint, desperate cries from below. "We need to get this grate off now," Dave commanded. The iron was heavy and rusted shut. It took a crowbar and all their strength to pry it open with a loud groaning screech. As the grate was lifted, a wave of cold, musty air washed over them. Dave shone a powerful flashlight into the dark, echoing abyss. What they saw made their hearts stop. Down below, huddled on a small, muddy ledge just inches above the rushing, filthy water, were 5 tiny kittens. They were soaked, shivering, and crying for their mother. The water level was rising, inch by inch, and would soon engulf their precarious refuge. They had only minutes. The ginger mother cat paced frantically at the edge of the hole, her cries now matching the desperate mews of her babies. Without a moment's hesitation, the younger firefighter was harnessed and lowered into the drain. The space was cramped, the water cold and rising. One by one, he gently placed the tiny, fragile kittens into a bucket. Each time the bucket was raised, a collective sigh of relief went through the small crowd that had gathered. Finally, all 5 kittens were out. They were immediately wrapped in warm towels Sarah had brought. The mother cat, seeing her babies were safe, rushed to them. She frantically licked each one, nudging them, counting them, her entire body purring with a force that seemed impossible for such a small creature. She ignored the humans, her world shrinking to just her rescued family. The entire street, once filled with indifferent passers-by, was now silent. They had witnessed not just a rescue, but a testament to a mother's incredible courage. This small stray cat had battled the elements, starvation and exhaustion, refusing to abandon her children, communicating her desperation in the only way she knew how. She hadn't just been sitting by a drain. She had been holding a vigil, a silent, powerful protest against fate. Sarah adopted the entire family. In the warmth and safety of her home, the ginger cat, who she named Hope, finally relaxed. She was no longer a desperate guardian, but a loving mother. The town of Oak Haven never looked at a stray animal the same way again. They learned a lesson that day by a simple storm drain on Miller's Lane. Sometimes, the most powerful courage isn't found in a loud roar, but in the silent, unwavering love of a mother who refuses to let the world wash her children away.